Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Another Friday is upon us and will soon come and go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. It is the 24th day of May 2013, and we are going to be live here for the next 3 hours and have open phones. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs is going to pop in about the march on Monsanto tomorrow. We've got a Leanne McAdoo special report on that as well. We're going to be airing. And in the third hour, popping in is the former Minister of Defense of Canada, who's been speaking out against the New World Order and the Bilderberg Group, Paul Hellyer. So we'll definitely be having some interesting questions for him coming up today. It is well, quite frankly, an orgy of information as usual, but it's just intensifying. Roger Ailes, the head of Fox and the news division of News Corp, has written a letter to Fox employees dealing with the government persecution and naked tyranny. And now they are saying, the federal government is, that if you basically talk to anybody in government and even ask their opinion about the weather, you're going to be arrested. So we are going, I mean, this is literal. In fact, Roger Ailes talks about that. This is a criminal government that wants to have a chilling effect and intimidate everybody, but it's liberal. I mean, it's so trendy. I mean, Barack Obama is at least part African, so it's just impossible that he could do anything wrong. And then meanwhile, we have got a lot of other really important news dealing with the economy. Bernanke out by August, QE ends, rates up, crash. That's the Wall Street Journal headline. I've got an NBC headline and video clip coming up where they say buy canned foods in case an asteroid hits the Earth. By the way, I didn't say that, as I know Rachel Maddow with her tiny audience will clip that out and have me saying buy canned foods and asteroids going to hit us. That's NBC saying that. MSNBC, Microsoft, Bill Gates, NBC, says prepare for asteroid, but they'll just take it and say, I said it. And that leads us to another point. I never got to this yesterday. I briefly talked about it, but it really hit me last night how ridiculous it is. So I'm going to cover this as well in this hour, because I don't usually cover the news just because we're in it. But when you've got 2 articles in the Huffington Post, the Washington Post, Raw Story, every White House organ repeating the talking points of the admittedly White House completely run George Soros-funded Media Matters, saying that I mean, now they say that I said the tornado. It's not now that I said there's weather weapons, which are on record, but they just hope you're stupid. Now they openly say I say that Obama did it with the tornado. Which I just say, bring it on, man, more of this stuff. Because I was reading last night on Raw Story and the Huffington Post and the Washington Post, most of the comments were going, well, here's the UN treaty on weather weapons. I mean, here's Bill Gates developing them. I mean, here they are with the HARP program. Here are the Chinese admittedly controlling their weather. In fact, guys, you've done an exemplary job. I forgot to tell you this morning. Will you print me, type in Dubai makes the desert green with weather control. It'll show the different antennas they use. And then print Bill Gates geoengineering. Give me a London Guardian on that or something. And then print UN Weather Weapon Treaty, 1978, and just print me, not the whole treaty, but just the few pages of it, because I don't want to waste paper for the environment. Just some of that, or like weather weapons, and click news. You'll have like Fox, CNN, because then I'm going to show all the weather weapons. And all I said is they got weather weapons. This is probably real. And meanwhile, Senator Whitehouse said Midwesterners brought this on themselves. So they're the real conspiracy theorists. You know, I read this news, I go over all this information, and I got to be honest, I get crazed in the morning. Crazed with just focus, and then my mind starts accelerating, and it gets very, very frustrating that it's so hard to go over all the information and what's unfolding. You know, markets were rattled yesterday, and they're talking about Bernanke when he leaves in August in the Wall Street Journal. Reportedly, they're saying he's going to leave by August, and that QE infinity will end, and that rates will shoot up, and that there will be a crash. That's what all the gearing up is, with the bullets and the armored vehicles and the preparations to seize your pension funds to bail out the mega banks. They hold you hostage and say, bail us out in Europe, bail us out in the U.S., bail us out in Asia. But they designed it as an implosion. Then they get all your tax money and then lecture you how you owe them interest on the money you gave them. Everybody knows that the European banks were bailed out. Everybody knows the big globalist banks in the U.S. were bailed out, the same group, in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But by now, it's like, oh, the lazy Spanish, the lazy Greeks, the lazy Italians. They're not lazy. They work constantly over there. They work 2 or 3 jobs, just like Americans. They work 6 days a week. I've gone and looked up the actuaries. The numbers are out there. Sure, the Germans get a month of vacation. The French do. But they certainly don't in those other countries, and they're hardworking people. And it's the globalists that created the derivative scam, not to even create a bubble and pump up the economy, but to infect the entire world market. Globalism isn't meant to create global prosperity. It's meant to create global pestilence in the financial markets to then hold everyone hostage and demand a financial dictatorship globally, or they will wreck it even further. And then you acquiesce to the threat of the terrorist, and then you only go deeper into bondage. The bravada, arrogant, stuffed, chutzpah-fueled New World Order is run by a bunch of madmen. And yes, fortune favors the bold. And just as Napoleon and Hitler went a bridge too far and invaded too many countries, the globalists are trying to invade the entire human psyche and give us psychic death, a psychic infection, a psychic spiritual wound to hate ourselves and hate our life force and hate our survival instinct and stand down so they can take over the world. The New World Order is dead on arrival by design. It's meant to implode the globe financially, economically, where they are the only men left standing, but that's not going to happen. The New World Order will be swept under in their own riptide and will be torn physically, spiritually, mentally, financially, limb from limb. They will be drawn and they will be quartered. They will be hoisted on their own petard. They will fall into their own pit. They believe that they're going to become gods. They are in a race with different combines who agree on world government as the structure of dominance over humanity, but who are not in full control over their own centralized system as they struggle and battle for control at the top of the pyramid. That's why they are pedal to the metal genetic engineering, life extension technologies, weaponizing all electronics, all computer systems in a panopticonic grid of dehumanization. In fact, when you guys print this, I meant to cover it 2 days ago and never did. Schmidt, the head of Google, came out and said, I think it's stupid. The headline is, Schmidt says, "Don't be evil" slogan of Google was silly, is the headline. He gave a speech and said that, and he was questioned in the talk he gave, and he said, Well, there is no evil. That's only in the Bible. When you hear that, ladies and gentlemen, you know what they're doing. They're telling you there's no rudder. They're telling you there's no standard. They're telling you there is nothing that matters, so you are blind and deaf and tasteless and touchless and have no bearing. You know a rotten steak full of maggots is evil, evil to your palate. You know a killer grabbing a small child out of the back of a backyard and raping and torturing them for months. Psychopaths call it using them up before they kill them. You know that's inherently evil. It's against life. It's against prosperity. It's against the universe. It is an aberration to not fall to your knees and see the beauty in the firmament of the sky at night, and to love all the beautiful and innocent and good things and want to crush the evil, not want to crush the innocent. It is a cancer in the universe. It is a fraud. It is a virus. It is a malfunction. And it tells us we are deformed. It tells us we're blind. No, I have deep knowledge of good and evil. I have more knowledge of evil than most of these evil people. And they believe they are achieving power by going against the universal programming, and it's the opposite. And so I just want to talk directly to the globalists before I get into the news here. Many of you, after you attain great power, realize that it's actually a millstone. But then you're so deep in it and so fearful, and in the struggle to gain power, you burn yourselves out. And so you've already carried out your mission for El Diablo. Still others just enjoy the raw exercise of power and the different flavors of it. But your statement that there is no evil, there is no right and wrong, that you are beyond good and evil, any of you that actually believe that are nothing but imprisoned spiritual slaves. The higher-ups above you truly believe that through darkness there will be brought light, and that Lucifer is God, and that Lucifer has chosen them to be gods. The highest level of the New World Order actually is beyond your term of good and evil, but they are deceived. They believe they're doing horrible things and see it as evil, but believe that they are simply bringing in a time of darkness to bring in a time of great light, and that is another lie. The truth is, there is a force in this universe that wants to kill and destroy life. All life, new life, old forms of life. The counterfeit world being built by Monsanto and Google and Microsoft, all part of the inner eugenics combine with IBM as its progenitor, a eugenics foundation cult, with IBM at the center. Its plan is the total destruction of this planet. You want to know what's at the bottom of the rabbit hole? It's death. And all of you intellectually, but also at a subconscious level, because your subconscious is innumerably more powerful than your conscious mind. It is your mind. The cerebral cortex is only the narrow focus of the mind. You already know what I'm telling you is true. Intellectually, academically, you can prove it all. And we do. But there are very few in the world who serve this conspiracy against life and against truth, who actually know the great plan. But there are those in love with death and in love with the siren song of destruction, who are wedded to Satan forever in the black tomb, the black grave, the black hole, that they would make this planet. There is a spiritual force in the universe that does not want humanity to achieve its next level of development. The eye has not seen, the ear has not heard what the creator of the universe has in store for those made in the image and the likeness. Not only the image, the likeness, the behavior of the creator of the universe. The prime directive is to achieve type 1 civilization for this planet and move to the next level. Satan plans to block it. Benghazi investigation deepens. Lawmakers seek interviews of 13 officials involved. It's also now been confirmed that Lois Lerner was involved and is been lying when she said before she went under oath and took the fifth that she knew nothing. So if the Republicans want to destroy the criminal Obama-oids, they can do it. The problem is their leadership, like Ted Cruz said on Monday, is basically bought and paid for by the same people, the Republican leadership. And that's why you see the mainstream media and the neocons attacking Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, Matt Drudge, Alex Jones, people like that. I mean, we've now got Glenn Beck saying he's a libertarian, attacking establishment Republicans. We're very close to getting Rush Limbaugh to do that. I mean, listen, people just don't expect that libertarians and constitutionalists, freedom lovers, whatever you want to call us, couldn't take America back. You see, that's the big lie, folks, that you don't believe you can have an effect. Every media I talk to, even mainstream media, that's, you know, calling my office that I have time to talk to, I don't even have time to call, like, GQ back. I'm not bragging, or Associated Press. I mean, I've got stacks of just, you know, we want to do a cover story on this, cover story on that. How much money do you make? It's always the same question. On and on and on and on and on. In fact, remind me to call Bloomberg back, because even though I made it clear, I want an email on record to them. It's not bad to make money, but I know how they act. They're like, so how much money do you make? And I said, $7 million a year is what it costs to run this operation. So you keep $7 million a year. And I'm like, no, I said it costs $7 million a year to run this operation. And I put almost all the money into it. But it'd be okay if I was making money. But my goal is freedom and a future destiny for humanity. That's what gets me really excited. And they would just go back to, so you make a lot of money. So will you remind somebody when in their emails, I want it on record that it takes $7 million to run this place. That's their answer. See, that problem is I've got too much on my mind. They're doing some cover story for Bloomberg. And I'm like, well, what's it a cover story for? Well, we can't say. And I go, what, Business Week? So, I mean, it's just like, get Alex Jones is the name of the game. Get Alex Jones is the name of the game. And they're calling up, the media is trying to find people I went to high school with, a whole crew of them. Or they can just do what Mr. Maddow does. I mean, Janet Reno. Janet Napolitano. I get them all confused. Pat from Saturday Night Live. No. Ron Maddow. What? Nothing wrong with it. I mean, he's a handsome guy. I'm going to be honest with everybody. I'm attracted to Mr. Maddow, and that really conflicts my... I always thought of myself as a heterosexual, but... I wonder if Mr. Maddow is going to join the Boy Scouts as a troop leader. I'm sorry, that's Saturday Night Live. I get all these people confused. I'm sorry, that's not right. That's not right. I should criticize Rachel Maddow on her lying to her audience, and we'll do that in the next segment. But let me get to this. Well, I'm going to get to this after that. Roger Ailes' letter to Fox employees. Lois Lerner directly involved in IRS targeting letter show. Oh, yeah, I mean, MSNBC is now currently saying, good, go after the Tea Party. They're racist. Shut them down. You've seen them. But I saw them years ago, admittedly targeting libertarians, pro-life groups. Tell us the content of your prayers. And people did. They're like, okay, just don't shut down our pro-life thing. It's okay. You don't have to be shut down. you've got to give a pro-abortion message half the time. Well, how do we do that? It came out in Congress last week. You just go out and you have a pro-abortion, pro-choice sign for 1 hour, and then you have an anti-abortion sign. And then we'll allow you to operate. How's that sound? I mean, that's how, I mean, they have no jurisdiction, none of that, can't get involved in your First Amendment, but they do, because Americans think that's how you get ahead, is worshiping, foaming at the mouth, sicko control freaks.
Oh, I see nothing. I was not here. I did not even get up this morning.
All right, I'm going to stop right there. Actually, I think Sergeant Schultz is a very handsome woman. I think he kind of looks like Janet Reno. If you cross Janet Reno, well, she's got a bigger beard than him. These jokes are wrong. I'm sorry. You know, I retreat into sarcasm when the news is torturing my brain. Uh-oh, there she is visiting with us, Janet Napolitano. All right, we'll be right back and get serious and debunk their latest propaganda. I want to say hi to Rachel.
We're
Tapped the AP's phone lines and arrested reporters for doing their job under espionage rules. He launched fleets of drones and was given Nobel Peace Prizes. I want to talk directly to the White House here because George Soros funds it with millions a year. The White House transition chief and others publicly run it. And Media Matters, that has a tiny visitorship on it, still is important because it is White House run on record. Its memos have come out 2 years ago. They want to infiltrate alternative media. That means getting hired there to, quote, internally sabotage and destroy. It is an intelligence operation of deceivers. And they are used for CNN and MSNBC's talking points. If you see a Media Matters article attacking myself, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, Paul Joseph Watson, Matt Drudge of DrudgeReport.com, Andrew Napolitano, whoever they're attacking, you will then see it on CNN and MSNBC that day or the next day. Word for word. They never give it credit, though. But they word for word, you know, that's their directive from the White House. And that way they can keep it separated somewhat from the White House, so it's not the White House directly running MSNBC or CNN. The talking points are written, and then they are adopted and loaded into teleprompters that night for Rachel Maddow, Chrissy Matthews, and CIA Anderson Cooper, and all the rest of them. And a day after the tragic tornado this week hit Moore, Oklahoma, the suburb of Oklahoma City, callers kept calling in saying, we think it's weather weapons. Could it be weather weapons? And I spoke off and on for the 3-hour show about it. And I'd actually been talking the day before, when even before the tornado happened, the day of the tornado, I had a weather weapons whistleblower, 9-year Air Force veteran on, talking about just tons every week of barium salts, aluminum dioxide there in Oklahoma, coming to the Air Force Base. So I've had clips of the White House Science Czar on air about geoengineering. There's shows on Discovery Channel, History Channel about it. I've interviewed Ben Livingston, meteorologist, the father of weather weapons, that they have, Discovery Channel shows about. I mean, this is like talking about Vietnam, and they're saying it doesn't exist. I mean, it's been National Geographic shows, Associated Press. Everybody knows about weather modification, weather weapons, HAARP programs. And so I said, I don't think this is a weather weapon, probably. I said, it's probably a real tornado. We're at a 60-year low. USA Today reported, in fact, maybe pull that up on screen for folks, of tornadoes, and saying we should pay carbon taxes, like Senator Winehouse said, or we're going to cause more of this, is just voodoo. It's total voodoo. Democratic senator urges Oklahoma tornado. Again, Democratic senator uses Oklahoma tornado for anti-GOP rant over global warming. And he said, you Midwesterner red state people, we're going to play the clip. He said, we're sick of paying for you. You won't vote for the carbon taxes and all the rest of it. And so it's your fault this is happening. And we're sick of you. So he basically said, Oklahoma, you deserve what happened to you. And that we're, because of you, we're being flooded on the East Coast. I mean, just crazy talk. There's always been tornadoes, always been hurricanes, always been earthquakes. There's earthquakes now, they say. Pay Al Gore carbon taxes, pay Obama and the Chicago Carbon Exchange money. You're causing this. I mean, it's like witch doctors of old saying you're going to cause the sun to not come up tomorrow if you don't give me the best hut in the village. And then there's an eclipse, and everybody bows down before the witch doctor, and now for 20 generations, his family takes over. Then he finally says, sacrifice your kids to me. Every culture ends up with witch doctors dancing around, throwing stuff into the fire, causing poofs of smoke, and everyone bowing down to them. And that's all these people are, is 21st century con artists. So Senator Whitehouse comes out and says the Midwest basically deserves this. It's their fault because we won't pay the ransom to them. And meanwhile, there's massive geoengineering going on, $5 billion worth a year by the Department of Energy, the chemtrailing. That's just thousands of government documents. It's publicly admitted, but they can tell the public doesn't exist. And that's what she said. So my wife last night, I was watching this at about 11 o'clock, and she goes, man, you ought to sue them. Now they're saying that you said the tornado was government controlled? And I said, honey, they're discredited. They're public figures. I'm a public figure. They hurt themselves doing this. I said, this is wonderful. And she goes, well, it just makes me mad. And I go, it doesn't make me mad. It makes me as happy as a pig and you know what. I mean, this is awesome. This is awesome. Because we tell the truth. We're teleprompter free. We bring out big, complex thoughts. People actually resonate with it. They dumb the news down to dumb you down. Frontline did a good piece about a decade ago about how they did studies that it's not that people are getting dumber and so TV gets dumber. TV is dumber, and then that makes you dumber, which is really common sense. Garbage in, garbage out. You program a computer bad, it's going to be bad. So we're up here with complex thoughts, and so what do they do with that? They go in, and on Media Matters, you notice it's audio only, so they don't show the cuts. But with her, they just show a short clip where I'm saying, well, if they've got weather modification going on, they probably don't even know if they caused this. But probably real. Well, they edited that down to make it sound like that I'm saying the tornado was sent by Obama. When there's, and I also went further and said to the lady, no, you're going to see small planes and stuff low in and around a storm formation that could create tornadoes when hot and cold, air comes together. I talked about meteorology. I went over the history of it. I mean, I really did a breakdown, almost like a university lecture, to try to get people to actually think. And I said, so it's probably not that. And we're going to write an article today with the full clip up there of the caller from the Tuesday show. But the point is, they took that, edited it down, and then said, first, on Wednesday, I said it could be man-made, and I'm crazy because there's weather modification. And then everybody in all the White House-controlled news sites was going, well, actually, there is weather weapons. You're saying he's a kook for saying it could be weather weapons? And they were posting all the UN treaties and National Geographic and AP and Reuters. So then they flipped yesterday and are now going directly to Alex Jones says that Obama sent the tornado. And they did that from Wednesday with her directive that no, Obama sent the tornado. Of course, I didn't say that. And anybody watching that knows I didn't say that. But that's who they think you are. They operate in lies and deceit. And, I mean, it's now, no exaggeration, in hundreds of publications. They're doing a full court press with this. Let's pull the Washington Post back up. Maddow shames Republicans and InfoWars conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, or conspiracyist Alex Jones. It reads like conspira-racist. Is that? Conspiracist. I guess they're inventing words because I know subconsciously you see the word racist there. The point is that they come out and they go, ooh, you're blown away. Oh, you're discredited. You're a kook. Oh, my gosh. The Republicans are doing hearings about the 2 billion plus bullets and the 7,000 armored vehicles they just bought. And they're doing things about claiming the military is trying to put us in FEMA camps. And they're doing, I mean, the Republicans are getting their talking points from Alex Jones. And she goes, will you please stop it? Stop it. And, of course, that's when she's not saying, don't listen to Rand Paul and Ted Cruz. They're going to discredit you. Republicans, whatever you do, stop giving them attention. You're discredited. What they're actually saying is, please stop. Don't. No, don't get into how we're building FEMA camps and spying on you and trying to intimidate and arrest reporters. Don't look into how we're claiming the military's under NATO command. Don't look at how we're funding al-Qaeda groups in Libya and Syria. Don't listen to this madman. No, Ted Cruz, he's discrediting you. They know Ted Cruz will energize libertarians and conservatives, and then they will overthrow the old Republican leadership, and we'll take the country back. So she's like, Ted Cruz is totally discredited. He's saying the Republican leadership's bad now. Oh, that'll really discredit you. This is what they're totally afraid of. And they're all about, as control freaks, setting the narrative that you do what they say. And they go, there are no 2 billion bullets. And now they're like, so what? We got 2 billion bullets. Alex Jones is discredited. The 2 billion bullets aren't for what he said they were. And then, I mean, you read these AP debunking articles and stuff, and it says, yeah, there are 2 billion bullets, kind of, but they're not for you. And hollow points are for target practice. And, you know, the government's not training for war with you. Oh, really? We have hundreds of your training manuals saying it's for gun owners, veterans, returning veterans. You know, never mind that. Alex Jones is discredited. Republicans, you've got to stop. You've got to tell Matt Drudge to stop linking to him. I mean, she does a report every week about that. And you've got to have Ron Paul's got to stop going on his show. And Ted Cruz is bad. And don't do any. Republicans do not talk like these people. Do not behave like any of these people. Just okay, because they're discrediting you. We're hurting them, and they're desperate. Maddow's gone from 1 million viewers to 400,000 in a year on average. On a good night, 600,000. Morgan's gone from over 1 million to 400,000 and plunging. Folks, they are bleeding out, hemorrhaging in shock on the ground because we have the truth going. And now we're going to show FM-39.40 that Obama demanded the Pentagon put out for the re-education of conservatives and libertarians and our gun confiscation. It's all in here. And we're gonna, oh, you don't want that, do you? Does that discredit me? Because it's real. It's at army.mil. You don't like that very much, do you? Oh, you want me to stop? I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. Okay? So, I want to show Maddow, Ms. Maddow, I want to show Ms. Maddow. I want to show her right now just what we printed up today. Document cam shot, please. Okay? Democratic Senator urges Oklahoma, again, Democratic Senator uses Oklahoma tornado for anti-GOP rant over global warming. And I'm going to get to that clip later where they actually blame Midwesterners and Oklahomans for it, saying you didn't pay us carbon taxes and we're sick of giving you billions of dollars when you have floods or when you have droughts. Because, I mean, that is outrageous. That should be the end of his political career right there, blaming the tornado victims. Oh, but no, that's the real crazy, wild-eyed conspiracy theory. I come out, and we're going to play that clip coming up. I come out and I say, callers are calling. I got open phones. And I'm like, yeah, it could be weather weapons, but probably not. That's Tornado Alley, and people need storm shelters. But here's the history of weather modification, and it's harder to steer groups of tornadoes. They can mainly help create them. But this probably wasn't that. And they think their audience is so dumb. The White House goes, the Cass Sunstein types go on this, go on this. Attacking, saying the government can control tornadoes. Certified in the 60s, they could do that and hurricanes. Stanford Research Institute declassified 6 years ago now. They think you're dumb. They're targeting an audience, folks, that cannot tie their shoelaces. Can you imagine the people that actually watch this globalist garbage where everything's anti-family, anti-man, anti-woman, anti-common sense, 24/7? Now, let's go over some of this. Here is a story. Dubai's weather wizards create rain Wrestle power from Mother Nature. That was first in the Daily Mail, and it shows graphics, we go to the Daily Mail in color, of how the HAARP antennas control the weather. Of course, our government invented these, put them up all over the country, first in the northern climes. But if you talk about it, it doesn't exist. Okay? Here's another one. National Geographic. Scientists make dozens of storms in Abu Dhabi desert. And then it goes into the secretive Swiss company that can control the weather. And then we go out and point out these exact antennas have been put up in every major region. And then they won't let anybody into them. And if you ask, they say it's a conspiracy theory. Okay? UN Weather Weapons Treaty from the 1970s. UNGA Res 31/72 TIAS 9614. I mean, here you go, Rachel. On the weather weapons, a treaty. Oh, here's another one. Bill Gates backs climate scientists lobbying for large-scale geoengineering. And then you got State Department Memorandum 200 admitting they use weather as a weapon, wars as food as a weapon, all of it. So I'm giving you facts here. HR 2995, Weather Modification Research and Technology Transfer Authorization. And then they also set up this weather board. I mean, that's just a small, there are thousands of mainstream articles about this. We're going to skip this network break because I need to get to this clip. Now, we've got all of this going on, all of this happening, all of this unfolding, and there's a tornado. Our listeners know there's weather control to a great extent. Obviously, the Pentagon has been obsessed with it since the 40s. They've been able to make a country bone dry or flooded since the 60s, certified, Stanford Research Project, creating hurricanes, killing hurricanes, strengthening hurricanes. And Maddow will probably take a clip of this and say, look, he says they can control hurricanes, and then they play a laugh track in the background. This is how dumb they think you and your family are. This is how mindless the system thinks you are. And then they come out with, I can't even count them all. It's got to be over 100 articles. Huffington Post, Washington Post, everywhere else. Maddow shames Republicans and InfoWars conspiracyist Alex Jones. After Alex Jones pushes Oklahoma weather weapon theory, Drudge continues to promote him. That's White House Media Matters. Because my talking points, which are the truth, are killing these people politically. Alex Jones pushes tornado truther theory. There's weather weapon stuff going on. Yeah, and then I said there's stuff going on, so you never know. Maybe they inadvertently, with all this geoengineering, are screwing up the weather. And then when it is screwed up, they go, oh, pay us carbon taxes, we'll fix it. Alex Jones, on 100% sure Obama sent the tornado to destroy Oklahoma. This is the type of BS they put out. You just knew there would be tornado truthers, didn't you? So, Maddow... Will weather weapon finally drive GOP away from Alex Jones? Yeah, you're scared to death that the GOP will actually become constitutional and end you people. You're busy trying to kill this country, ship all our jobs out, open the borders up, working with the Republican leadership, selling everybody out, and you're scared to death because our message unifies everybody around common sense. Oh, geoengineering governance and technology policy, Congressional Research Service. January 2nd this year. Doesn't exist, though. You can watch the C-SPAN hearings with Kay Bailey Hutchinson that ran the committee on their weather manipulation of the U.S. $5 billion a year to spray aluminum dioxide over the U.S. alone? You go look at a satellite photo, type in chemtrail satellite photos of the U.S. NASA reports we're 21 to 32% darker on average globally because of condensation trails. That's because they're adding barium salts, aluminum dioxide to it. They are doing something with the atmosphere. They admit they're doing it, but it remains classified, and they're scared to death. Maddow came out and attacked me years ago when I said bisphenol A 5 years ago is sterilizing you and increasing breast cancer. And they came out on MSNBC, a bunch of shows, and said, he's crazy. He says the juice boxes are making you gay. No, I said the runoff of bisphenol A is making amphibians and fish have both sexual organs. And you may think it's cute that's skyrocketing in humans, that kids are growing up with 2 different sets of genitalia, and you're like, oh, Alex is being mean to the androgynous community now. No, they're doing this to us, and it's wrong. It reminds me of the end of Omega Man, and it's all, a remake really of The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price. where he's got the cure. And he's like, here, I've got it. And they're like, no, we've already been transformed, and now we're going to kill you. I mean, they don't, and it's, I don't care what you're doing sexually, but do you want your brain actually altered and the cancer that comes with it? Oh, American Scientist, assessing risk of bisphenol A. But see, I helped ram that out into the public consciousness. They're mad at me. I can change the agenda because of my audience and our friends in the real media. They don't like that. They want to keep putting hydrofluorosilicic acid in your water. That's killing all of us. On record, Harvard studies, you name it. They want to continue. They don't want you to know the juice boxes have got bisphenol A. They don't want that taken out. They don't want flame retardant taken out of the Gatorade that we exposed. They don't want you to figure out you can take the country back. Now, let's go to what Rachel Maddow is so upset about. And then tying all the other real stuff we've pointed out to something we didn't say. We're going to go to Maddow, and then we'll go to Mr. Whitehouse, the senator. So here is Rachel Maddow trying to tell conservatives and libertarians what you can and can't look at. And remember, they said the amnesty bill doesn't have felons being let off, which it does. And it doesn't let them bring in their families, which the bill did. They lie to you. They think you're stupid. They hate you. Let's go to this clip.
Two things happened recently that are related. They do not seem related at first, but trust me, they are related. So stick with me here. The first thing was a small piece of one of the planes that was used on 9/11 being found wedged in a narrow alleyway not far from Ground Zero. Now, at first, it was reported to be part of the landing gear from one of those planes. We learned it actually came from under one of the wings. So that was thing number one. Just a couple of days later, thing number two. Republicans on the House Oversight Committee held a joint hearing on the amount of ammunition the Department of Homeland Security has on hand. See, because if the federal government has more bullets than the general population, how are we going to defend ourselves in the fight against the government? Can't let the government get the upper hand in the weapons race, right? Next thing you know, they'll have like a standing army and bombs that can take out whole cities and stuff. So yes, Republicans in the House...
She gets off on that power. That's designed and pointed at other nations, the ICBMs, all that. By the way, they're now starting to point those tanks and stuff at us. That's the whole point. Eisenhower warned us about the military-industrial complex. Our founders did. And you try to make it a cynical joke associated with an airplane part I've never talked about. Let's continue with someone reading off a White House written script. Literally, this is state-run media. Here it is.
And the Senate followed up the ammo thing with an actual bill, an actual piece of legislation that's supposed to prevent the government from buying too many bullets. Yes, this is the same federal government that already stockpiles, say, Abrams tanks and armed drones and giant intercontinental missiles that can carry nuclear.
This is Homeland Security, a new fifth branch of the military, training to take on the Tea Party, while the IRS harasses everybody and harasses pro-lifers and grabs their bank accounts. You people are terrorizing the daylights out of us with black uniformed police everywhere, trying to intimidate us, and we say, hey, you're our government, stop it, and you run around trying to say it isn't happening, you witch. You're going to go to Nuremberg trial. Because you guys are going to commit your crimes. I know you're going to try a hot takeover. And let me tell you, man, now, you're going to be in the dock at the new Nuremberg if you get your way. Back off now, witch. You really want to sign on to this takeover? Because you're going to fail. And no matter what happens to me, when this country gets taken back, you're not going to be able to run to Europe. Let's go back to her.
Weapons, all that, yes, but it's an excess of bullets that congressional Republicans have decided is the really worrying firepower. That worry...
Hit pause again. Homeland Security paid for $2 million worth of paper targets of 5-year-old children to shoot, called No More Hesitation. You're training for us. She tries to go, well, the government's got nuclear missiles and all this stuff. That is controlled by Congress and aimed at other countries. And that's gotten out of... See, I mean, man, it's so incredible. Just let's go back to the clip. Here it is.
So crazy, so out there that even the National Rifle Association wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot rifle. And yes, the conspiracy theory about the government having too many bullets is nuts. But it's not out of nowhere. That conspiracy theory comes from the mother of all conspiracy theories that seduce Republicans. It's an internet talk show called InfoWars. Yes, this is the same guy who has been selling the idea that the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School and the massacre at Aurora, Colorado were actually fake. they were faked as an excuse to take away our guns and enslave us to the giant wasps who hive beneath the UN building.
All right, let's hit pause.
It's the same guy.
Those were real shootings, and they clearly let the mentally ill people do it, and they were under government payroll in both cases, and other shooters were caught and covered up. So, and I do not say that giant wasps are under the UN building. It's actually giant Easter bunnies. But, okay, the point is, I haven't even gotten to it yet. I'll have to play it the next hour, and then I'll get to White House. And the reason I'm spending a lot of time on this is it just deals with these control freaks, this mouse that's roaring. You guys could set me up and get rid of me tomorrow, globalist, and the signal's already out. Okay? Everybody knows you're a bunch of globalists taking the country over. And then she goes in and says that I said that Obama sent the tornado, which I never said. And, you know, more, keep it up, witch. Keep it up, witch. Folks, if you just joined us, America is really starting to wake up to the fact that the federal government is trying to scare and persecute people. Libertarians, conservatives, you name it. The Homeland Security documents for the last 4 years, 5 years, that we've broke and covered ad nauseum, they're training to shoot guys in John Deere hats with paper targets and 5-year-old kids. That's what Homeland Security wants in the, you know, in the targets they pay for. And the manuals say your new enemy is not Al-Qaeda. It's gun owners, it's libertarians, it's returning veterans. And that's now all been mainstream news. It's taken me 5 years almost just to get people to even look at all the training manuals that started coming out as soon as Obama got in. And, I mean, you're sitting here reading this stuff where they're preparing for war with you. They're buying thousands of armored vehicles. They're publicly training billions of bullets. And then Rachel Maddow goes out and laughs and says, Republicans, don't listen to Alex. And then now they're having congressional hearings. A couple years later, they've been trying to suppress this. And now they're coming out just desperately lying. The White House is. The White House, you know, writes the Media Matter stuff, saying that I said Obama sent the tornado. I was just answering callers' questions saying, yeah, they've got weather modification. You know, here's National Geographic, here's Associated Press, but this is probably a real tornado. Now, I'm disagreeing with the person, but nicely, and using it as a way to illustrate, but there is massive weather modification going on. So maybe inadvertently with all this modification going on, you know, maybe it's making less tornadoes because there's been less the last 60 years, USA Today reported. Will you guys print me that again, please? Obviously, that's a conspiracy theory, but that's what NOAA says. And then I was on a talk show, and they said, you mean the guy with the big white beard? Yeah, that's not the National Oceanic Weather Administration, or what's it stand for? I don't know. Maybe that doesn't exist either. I made that up. I said they got a Weather Modification Bureau in Congress. Maybe NOAA doesn't exist. It's like, it's crazy that they're lying this much to people and twisting things, and that they're worried about Infowars.com. And I guess they should be worried. I went for an exercise this morning to the local park, and every person, I've got to start, just because it takes my time up, I've got to start wearing, even when I wear a hat and glasses, people recognize my gorilla walk. Every person I walked by said they were a listener. Every person. And I only walked by about 10 people. Every person was stopping me and trying to shake my hand. The New World Order is in deep trouble if a little old me has reached this many people. And I don't know where the numbers are, because it shouldn't be that many for the audience we have. We have a big audience, but it shouldn't be that and about three of the people were like, I love that Piers Morgan thing. That's my favorite deal. Not that Piers Morgan's big, but that it aired everywhere. I mean, every TV, radio, you know, everybody covered that. It was a huge news event. One of the biggest stories of the year so far. And that's why they're so upset, and that's why they're so scared, because they're spying on everything. They know the numbers. They know how the audience is tuning in. I don't know why it's so big. I can't actually find numbers that high. Because you'd think as many people that know the show and listen to it, I mean, it's like 100 million people or something. But I don't know. I can't find those numbers. I guess it's kind of like YouTube and all the rest of it firing bullets that ricochet forever, kind of like in Star Wars. Instead of the trash compactor, it just keeps bouncing around. I think that's what it is there's just so much stuff out there, so much I've said, and people see stuff I did 10 years ago, and they're like, well, that all came true. I think I just answered my own question. The thing is, it's really creepy, but I'm just trying to gauge why the White House is attacking us every day now through their surrogates. And they're doing it because we know what they're up to, and we know, and we're teaching people not to trust them. And we're teaching people they're criminals. And we're teaching people they're tyrants. And Obama's like, there's no tyranny. Don't look. Trust me. Hand in the guns. Never mind the army I'm building against you. Yeah, the manual says we're going to put you in a re-education camp. Don't mind that. All right, now into hour number 2. Coming up, we're going to get into some key medical news and the march on Monsanto that kicks off tomorrow. And we have a special report that we're going to try to get to as well. I need to get to Roger Ailes' letter to Fox employees about the tyranny that they're under and how it's illegal. We have a government openly arresting members of the federal government who just give their opinion on policy with North Korea. Totally legal, totally lawful. Even the liberals at AP are freaking out about this. And if people go along with this, it's over. This is the criminal activity of a mafia. Loris Lerner, it's now come out in public letters, of course, knew and was involved in the targeting of conservative organizations, which she's denied. She's taken the Fifth Amendment as well, but previously flapped her lips dealing with. This is a big issue. Bernanke out by August. QE ends, rates up. A crash will then occur. The Wall Street Journal is reporting. I don't know if that's true or not, but we're going to, I mean, let me tell you, when they stop QE3, it's kind of like, do you want to be shot by firing squad or fed to the lions? You know, it's kind of like QE3 is bad for devaluation of the dollar, but then not having it, the economy will implode. I mean, it's darned if you do and up the creek if you don't. It is a more Frenchy-filed way of saying that. But the point is, it sounds better, but this is some of what we got. And we got the New York Times. Why rational people buy into conspiracy theories? You mean why rational people don't believe known congenital liars at the New York Times that said Bilderberg didn't exist and I was a schizophrenic? Now it exists, but I'm crazy to want to cover 150 world leaders and royalty meeting illegally with elected politicians carving up the world. That's come out in court cases. They've arrested people involved with Bilderberg, for Lockheed Martin jet scams, weapons deals. I mean, But, oh, I'm crazy. Oh, there's no bullets. Oh, there are 2 billion bullets. There's no armored vehicles. There's no manual saying that the new terror threats returning veterans and gun owners. Now it's all official. See, they want to stall you. There's no Fast and Furious. Oh, well, there is one, but it's an accident. Really, the memo says you did it to blame the Second Amendment. Well, never mind that. We declare executive privilege. Take the Fifth. We don't target the Tea Party. Oh, here you are on MSNBC 4 years ago saying, target them, calling for the IRS to target them. Oh, here's the letters where you bragged about it. I take the Fifth Amendment. I mean, this is the game they play of ridiculing us and laughing at us. Well, here, let me laugh at you. Oh, you have no audience. You're imploding on yourself. And sure, Maddow, you can play a clip. We played it earlier going, we've got nuclear missiles. So what if we've got bullets? We can get, and of course, that's what Al Sharpton always says. We got drones and missiles. You rednecks think you're going to buy guns down in the South? It's racist to own a gun. It's like crackers do that. Basically what he's saying. Trying to make it racial to want to own a gun. When it's just about everybody being able to defend themselves. And, Fox Sports people going, the Klan is for gun ownership. Yeah. Oh, really? It was the Klan that got gun laws passed to disarm black people. We're done. We're done fighting with each other. We're done being lied to by you people. We're tired of your divide and conquer. We know what you're doing. Political correctness is dead. You may have a bunch of drooling lemmings that don't know how to wipe their own hind end following you, but the thinkers are thinking, and we're getting smarter and more aware every day. And now the collective of individuals is watching everything you do and disdaining you and exposing you, and you are hemorrhaging out. Your ratings you are a shadow of the shadow of the shadow. You're over. You're done. No amount of stage shootings, no amount of nukes going off in Chicago to be blamed on patriot groups, no amount of false flags will put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Okay? Now, she goes on. I already played part of this, but in the interest of time. So she says that I say Sandy Hook didn't even happen. That's not what I say. I say it needs to be investigated because there's evidence that they stood down and let the guy attack, and they tried to blame American gun owners for what happened, just like Senator Whitehouse said Midwesterners not paying carbon taxes are causing the rest of the country to have problems, and that they don't want to bail out Oklahoma as if Oklahomans are bad people because they're in a red state. Okay? This is what's going on. This is what's happening. They're desperate. And so they come out and say, we just played it. In the interest of time, the full video is up on Infowars.com, that I said giant wasp aliens live under the... They'll probably edit that out and say I said that. I did not say that. I did not say the hurricane was sent by Obama or the tornado was sent by Obama. Callers asked me, and I said there are weather weapons, which are all over the news. And last hour, I showed you like 10 different mainstream news articles, National Geographic, Daily Mail, Congressional Record. So first they said on Tuesday and Wednesday that there's no weather weapons and I'm a kook. Then they went to saying that I said Obama sent the tornado, and that how dare Republicans, because they know, because they get White House talking points, my talking points of just research and reality, now via DrudgeReport.com and other places, and the syndicated show and the internet and Infowars.com. People are now going, okay, there's congressmen listening right now. Their constituents are listening. FM-39.40, internment resettlement operations for in the U.S., how to put you in a FEMA camp, how to re-educate you. Let's have hearings about this. Let's have hearings about the RAND Corporation plan for a national stability occupation force under UN. That report's right here. You don't want to discuss that, do you? So let's go ahead and go to the rest of the Maddow clip where she lies to her audience, plays a clip of me saying, yeah, we don't know if government did it because they've got the power to do it, one thing out of context, and then lies to her audience because she thinks you're an idiot. Here it is.
School and the massacre at Aurora, Colorado were actually fake. They were faked as an excuse to take away our guns and enslave us to the giant wasps who hive beneath the UN building or whatever. It's the same guy who says the Boston bombing was also fake. It was faked for political purposes. The same guy who says he doesn't believe the Columbia space shuttle disaster actually happened. He doesn't believe there was actually an Oklahoma City bombing. Naturally, of course, he also knows and sells the idea that 9/11 was an inside job.
All right, let's hit pause. I covered the San Francisco Chronicle that reported the FBI coming and seizing a video that a guy shot on his Meade telescope of a laser beam, because a laser beam's got to be on for a while. They're not powerful enough yet to just one burst, at least the ones we've seen. It's coming in it's still up in space. It's coming in over the West Coast. It's over California. It goes over Nevada. A guy in Nevada films the laser beam shooting because he wanted to film it coming in because it's above the earth, so the edge of the sun hits it. Even though it's dark, you can see it. I've seen the space shuttle, and I was like, okay, it's coming over now. Let's go out and look at it. It's a clear night. We used to go out to the desert when I was a kid and, watch the space shuttle come over. You can see it. You can see space stations, you name it. Next, she'll say there's no space stations because she thinks you're dumb. And the guy saw a green laser and filmed it, and the FBI raided him and took it. I just reported on that. So they said that the space shuttle doesn't even exist, according to her. That's how dumb they think you are. See, everything she says is a lie. I didn't say there's giant wasp under the building. I didn't say that the space shuttle didn't ever happen. I didn't say that Sandy Hook and all that didn't happen. Oklahoma City didn't happen. I mean, this is the most desperate flailing I've ever seen to try to get Republicans to stop looking into what we're covering. If it's discrediting Republicans so good, you should encourage them to keep looking into what I'm saying. By the way, it's confirmed, Associated Press and Reuters, the two FBI agents involved in the anti-terrorism team with the bombing that were there when the bombing happened in the drill, they're the ones that died earlier in the week in that other drill. And then I told you the witnesses, the friends of the brothers would start dying. And you notice, we're not going to say why he was under questioning and shot in the head. That's all you need to know. I told you, this is a botched deal, folks. They're running scared. And if they're ever going to kill me over something, it'd be the Boston bombing. Because that was a drill, a stand down, Saudi Arabians being flown out, that the White House secretly meeting with people. They got caught lying about that. They're desperate. Let's go back to this clip. Here it is. of Maddow.
That must be faked too. The conspiracy continues. In every tragedy, the InfoWars Alex Jones world thinks they see a conspiracy. Monday's devastating record-breaking tornado in Moore, Oklahoma killed 24 people and flattened a community. Just devastating. Devastating, right?
And what does he do?
But now, I am not kidding, these same conspiracy theory folks are peddling the idea that the tornado was a conspiracy as well. Seriously, the tornado was a conspiracy.
And, tornadoes are way down. Of course, they lie and say they're way up to try to get carbon taxes. But I don't know if this was a weather weapon or not, but they can, with the right weather conditions, they can create and steer groups of tornadoes. Did people 50 miles out as these storm systems, did they see aircraft in and around the clouds spraying and doing things? If you saw that, you better bet your bottom dollar they did this. But who knows if they did? That's the thing.
Who knows? Who knows if the U.S. government uses a secret made-up weather weapon that only exists in the mind of,
only exists in congressional funding.
Here's the other thing. Alex Jones should be disqualified from participating in Republican Party politics. His crackpot theories shouldn't prompt actual hearings in Congress, and they shouldn't inspire actual legislation in Congress, and you shouldn't do a money bomb on his show when you are running for Congress. Do not fundraise on this theater of the absurd by showing yourself to be one with this guy. Really. He says the tornado was a conspiracy. The tornado. Can we agree that it's over now, Republicans, going on his show?
Please,
really?
please don't go on, please.
Please?
Please shut him down. Don't look. Don't listen to him, huh? He's got our number. Get away from him. Whatever you do, don't look at him. Don't move. You buy that, I'll throw Janet Reno in free. If you'll buy that, I'll throw Big Sis in free. Imagine being locked up in a house with them for about a year. They're so unhappy. They're trying to run around and ruin everybody's lives. And they lecture us and tell us, hey, remember a few weeks ago, we weren't spying on the Tea Party. That's a conspiracy theory. Hey, did that work, scum? Did that work, trying to shut us down on that? We're done, scum. Okay, I'll go to hell before I'll be your minion. I don't know, that's a figure of speech. I don't want to go to hell. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just you people are a joke, and I will not be dominated by some bossy twit like you shaking her finger and going, really, Republicans? Really? Stop it. Stop it. Get him off the...
To the giant wasps who hive beneath the UN building or whatever. It's the same guy who says the Boston bombing was also fake.
Yeah. Oh, man. These people will be defeated. I have disdain for these people. They're so pathetic and fake. They think you're stupid. They want to shackle your mind. I want to see you unleashed. Excuse me. I wanted to originally get him on last week, but he couldn't come on. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, one of the biggest compounding pharmacists in Colorado, owns some big natural cosmetic companies. Very successful guy. And he joins us now. This is a short segment. Long segment's coming up. He joins us via video Skype for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers, radio listeners. Obviously, we'll hear him audibly. Where the giant wasp live inside your ears. I'll probably clip that and play that tonight and say it's real. Like your audience doesn't know you're a pack of liars. Is why they're all tuning out. Anyways, just keep lying to them. So see how that works for you. Okay. But I got to stop here. I was really relishing that. I want to get into the serious issue of brain cancer's up. Are we going to have our brains removed? Colon cancer's up. We're going to have our colons removed. Breast cancer is skyrocketing. Why not ask why it's skyrocketing instead of saying it's gene? Yeah, you can be predisposed with a gene that if certain things are in the environment, you'll get cancer. But how about you do what it takes to mitigate that instead of mutilating yourself preemptively? And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into the March on Monsanto tomorrow. But we only got a few minutes left here. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, talk show host here on Genesis, InfoWarsHealth.com advisor. What do you make of Maddow lying and saying that I'm saying 9/11 didn't happen, Oklahoma didn't happen, period, that giant wasps live under deals, and she didn't say it was satire, and that I said Obama sent the tornado. I said none of that. I talked about weather weapons that are in National Geographic article. I mean, what does that signify from Janet Reno's daughter?
Does anybody take Rachel Maddow seriously? I can't imagine how anybody takes a single thing she says seriously. It's very difficult to listen to her, but if you do listen to her, she's a mouthpiece. She's a spokesperson for the New World Order, for the globalists, and I don't pay any attention to
You don't like being lectured by P. Brian?
No, I don't like being lectured by her. I don't even like looking at her or listening to her. I avoid Rachel Maddow at all costs, and I always have. But you know what, Alex? You're waking people up. You're bringing a lot of light to places that haven't had light in centuries, really, and people are and the mainstream is getting freaked out, and you can't blame them. People are waking up, and that's what we're here to do.
And you're going to talk more conspiracy theory here. You're going to tell people why they don't need to have their brain removed. I mean, because brain cancer is up. Why not just preemptively have all our brains removed?
Really, if you got a cancer of the head, chop your head off. And that's not. I'm not being facetious. Doctors will tell you if you got you're predisposed to ovarian cancer, just take out your ovaries. Predisposed to breast cancer, let's hack them off. Do you have any idea how traumatic a mastectomy is to the human body? Human body doesn't know it's being operated on in a surgery in a operating theater. It thinks it's being eaten by a lion. And when you get your breast hacked off, it goes through the same stress response it would go through as if a wild animal were eating you. The last thing you ever want to do is have a surgical procedure prophylactically or preventatively. You don't want to have a surgical procedure done.
They told my grandmother to have her breasts removed like 5 years ago, and she didn't do it, and she's fine right now. I tell you what, stay there, extremist. Stay there. More evil straight ahead. Whatever you do, don't listen to the show. Don't look at the Boston bombing photos. Only do what Rachel Maddow says. Thank you, Hank Williams, bringing us in. Dragging on over. Yeah, we haven't got to Hank Williams Jr. on yet, but I've confirmed he's a listener, and so is his son. The wild man, Hank III, looks just like Hank Williams I. Do you know Hank Williams survived one of the farthest falls ever off a mountain? Bounced off his head, split his whole head open, Hank Williams Jr. The brain was out, and he still survived. Pretty interesting, huh? Little, what do you call it? Trivia on Bocephus. Factoids, a Bocephus factoid. This Bocephus factoid brought to you by InfoWarsHealth.com. By the way, InfoWarsHealth.com has almost 400 incredible products, the lowest price you're going to find anywhere on longevity products. Free shipping when you sign up for auto shipping, InfoWarsHealth.com. And there's also a toll-free number there. And I will say this, the Tangy Tangerine also has boosted my cravenness. Craven, I guess, means kind of bad crazed. My goodly crazed, Google craze, whatever you want to call it. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, 888-789-9277. 888-789-9277. 888. Yeah, scroll back down there. I'm going to give that number out again. 888-789-9277. If you want to call and got any questions about the different products and stuff, got a great team trained on all the stuff there. Interviews with NBA legend Theo Ratliff and interviews with Ben Fuchs and others that are all up there, video interviews, InfoWarsHealth.com. And your purchase there really makes Rachel Maddow incredibly angry. Now, we better get to our guest because he sent me, let's not exaggerate. Can we have a document cam over here, guys? It looks like 300, 400, I don't know, 500 pages of exhibits. It's right over there. It's right up there up in the corner, yeah, for TV viewers. And we're going to go over all these exhibits that are over here. Okay, so we're getting into the hardcore extremism that we shouldn't ask why breast cancer is up 2,000 to 3,000%, depending on the type, leading the world in the U.S., but the whole Western world. Why testicular cancer? Why pancreatic cancer? Why esophageal cancer? Why brain cancer? Every cancer exploding. Cancers that didn't exist exploding. Pediatric cancer is up 10,000+%. No one wants to discuss why these blessings, these plagues, are upon us. The answer is, hey, you're predisposed to breast cancer? They're now talking about, at puberty, having girls have them removed. Pretty soon you won't be able to live unless your head's in a special globalist tank. That's the plan. Make things so deadly, then they'll have something that keeps you alive but enslaved in their system. And that's what Monsanto and all the globalists admit. That's their medical tyranny model. They know the vaccines are causing the gut flora problem. Bill and Melinda Gates spend billions and patent to make money on medicalizing all that and then how to let you survive. Everybody's going to have irritable bowel. Everybody's going to have Crohn's. Everybody's going to have, it's the new freedom. Everybody's going to be mentally ill. I'm sorry, Ben Fuchs, let's get into your exhibits here on Angelina Jolie, and they want $4,000 per woman with Obamacare paid. Go ahead, pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
Yeah, you know, this whole thing with Angelina Jolie is really, it's kind of like a poster child for the utter insanity of the modern medical model. This is a woman who has a supposed genetic predisposition to breast cancer, which, by the way, is the result of toxicities like cigarette smoking and drinking booze and who knows what other kind of crappy lifestyle both her and her mother were undergoing, because the BRCA gene is mutations occur secondary to maternal malnutrition when the baby is in the womb. This is a woman who had her appendages lopped off, her breasts lopped off in what is one of the most severe surgical procedures a human being can undergo. All surgical procedures are severe, but having a mastectomy is especially traumatic, all in response to a mutation in her genetics that is secondary to a lifestyle issues. And this is
and again, we have the same genetic lines we've always had. They're telling people this is how it is. You have this, it's going to happen. Go on these, but they know that it's when you go into this environment, then it triggers that.
Yes, what they're not telling you is, yeah, the genetics are involved, but the genetics are secondary to the environment. This is what epigenetics is all about. And Doc Wallach, as a matter of fact, has a book coming out here in another month or two about this whole idea of epigenetics, that is nutritional and lifestyle factors that are transcendent to genetics. Epi meaning superior to or transcendent to. This genetic model is a lie. It's an insidious lie. It is a lie that disempowers us and condemns us.
Well, let's explain it like this. Let's say you get so many replications in the DNA in your cell structure, and because of space rays, toxins of the environment, say 2,000 years ago in central Italy, or as an example, very long-lived people even then, let's say women were living to 85 or so if they didn't die when they were young. People actually live longer then, it's just that more children died. But if you live past 10, and people can look at these statistics, I know you know them, pharmacist Ben Fuchs, but if you have that going on, then sure, you're predisposed genetically to get a breast cancer when it's mutated so many times. The cell has split so many times that finally it then generates the mutation, and then your body doesn't have the vitamins and minerals and nutrients there to deal with it, so it replicates, takes you over, because only the mutating cells can live in that environment now because you're winding down. But instead they go, oh no, all the kids are getting cancer because of bad genes. No, it's the radiation, it's the food, it's the garbage, the GMO. These rats didn't have bad genetics that get fed GMO and get all these tumors. They don't say that there. They know it's the GMO.
You hit the nail on the head with the word environment, Alex. It's the environment that the genes are in. The genetics are nothing more than a blueprint that is reflective to the biochemical environment of the body. The biochemical environment of the body is secondary to nutrition, to food, to EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies. There's all kinds of factors that conspire to change our body's genetics. It's not the genetics that count. It's what is causing the genetic changes, and that is where we have control. And that's why for the last 25 years I've been preaching the gospel of good nutrition. Alex, there is nothing more powerful on a physical level for changing the way we are, changing our biology, changing our biochemistry than the kind of nutrients we're getting or the kind of nutrients we're not getting.
Doc Wallach is almost 74 years old, and he looks like he's 55, and you look like a Ken doll.
Well, I've been practicing what I preach for 25, 30 years. I've been using nutritional strategies, and I'm in the skincare business. The point is, Alex, 75% of our healthcare costs are caused by chronic degenerative diseases that are unnecessary. We don't need to be subjected to chronic degenerative diseases if we understand how our bodies work, if we understand how to take care of our bodies. And the key component in all of this is nutrition and, in my opinion, nutritional supplementation. Now, there's a mental aspect, there's a spiritual aspect, there's an emotional aspect that that we have to take into consideration. But from a physical standpoint, nutritional supplementation, good nutrition, and food is key. And when I say food, I mean not cooperating, not being complicit in eating the corporate swill. This is so important.
So wait. You're being an extremist right now. You're saying McDonald's and others.
We have a McDonald's in the airport at DIA. How in the world can McDonald's have the lines that it has is beyond me. I was looking at the folks who are lining up to get hamburgers, lining up to get their cheeseburgers, lining up to get their French fries. They might as well be lining up for tickets to Auschwitz. They might as well be lining up for tickets to the gas chamber. They might as well be lining up for to participate in Obamacare and to participate in the modern medical model. We cannot accept business as usual when it comes to the foods that we're eating, when it comes to the corporate foods that we're eating, when it comes
think of the fear with Angelina Jolie.
Food, when it comes to participating in the mainstream model of health and welfare. We have to take our health, our welfare into our own account. We have to take our family's health and welfare into our own account. We have to take responsibility, and it begins, number one, with the kind of foods that we're eating, and number two, with the kind of nutritional supplements that we're taking.
Yeah, and I heard your Skype or whatever it is renegotiate. I think your computer flipped to internal microphone. You probably want to check that, pharmacist Ben Fuchs. I think you went off your headset. Something happened there, so let's check that for a moment. But you sent me just hundreds of pages of news articles that I want to go through. So if you have those, you always prepare so much for the show. I want to talk about the exhibits that you sent us. And again, this is not our opinion, folks. Cancer and these degenerative diseases are skyrocketing in the Western world. And anywhere globalists are giving people GMO and putting fluoride in the water. And we know it's doing it. So they're going to hoax it and say, it's your genetics. Well, yeah, it's kind of like if you have genetics where if you eat the wrong kind of cholesterol, you're going to have a heart attack. Don't eat the wrong kind of cholesterol. But it's not like we're going to remove your heart because your dad died at 50 of a heart attack and you're predisposed to heart attacks, so we're going to remove your heart. You're like, well, you die. But see, the doctors, whatever they can hack off to get money, they will. And it's one thing to have something removed if you have cancer in it, okay? But, you know, the issue here is that we are being poisoned. Did we get his audio back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, so what would you have done if you were Angelina Jolie?
I would, first of all, have quit smoking. That's the number one thing to do. I mean, if you want to assure yourself of participation in the medical model, go smoke cigarettes. She happens to be a chain smoker. Only God knows how much alcohol she's drinking on top of that. And by the way, Angelina Jolie is only 36 or 37 years old. She don't look very good. And I don't want to pile on Angelina Jolie. The poor woman just went through a severe surgery. But the fact of the matter is if we begin to take care of ourselves vis-a-vis nutrition, vis-a-vis exercise, vis-a-vis not participating in eating the corporate swill, if we start to participate in a healthy spiritual, mental, and emotional lifestyle as well, we will not have to participate in the medical model. And that should be our number one goal. Alex, we can't fight the New World Order if we're suffering from colon disease. We can't fight the New World Order if we have autoimmune disease. We can't fight the New World Order if we have heartburn and we're throwing up every time we eat, after every meal we eat. And this is the kind of health condition many Americans are dealing with. 75% of our healthcare costs, 3/4 of our healthcare costs, over $1 trillion, is spent on chronic degenerative disease, which in many ways is optional because it's secondary to lifestyle choices. And this is the message that I've been talking about for the last 25 years.
Okay, well, you sent me like 50 news articles. Let's run through these because you've obviously got them too. Let's go through these different articles. Where do you want to start first?
Let's start off with dementia and drug companies. I love this one. Big Pharma is now trying to profit off Alzheimer's disease by coming up with drugs that are supposed to help people with what is, at the end of the day, a degenerative disease that's secondary to how we live our lives. Go down to the fourth story, 1, 2, 3, 4. Eating less may slow down progression of dementia. Alex, if you had to pick one single strategy to increase your longevity and decrease the likelihood of degenerative diseases, it would be to simply eat less.
Well, let me stop you there. They've known for 30 years that they feed rats high nutrient, near starvation diets. They live 2-3 times longer. And different species of worms, they've had them live 8 times longer.
By using nutrients and by reducing calories.
And by the way, that's what the elite's all doing, but we're not supposed to do it. We're supposed to go get our colons chopped out.
By the way, the elite get nutrients stuck in their veins intravenously. They don't mess around. They put IV nutrients in. If we really cared about health in this country, we would have national nutritional...
Oh, yeah, all the real expensive clinics, because they're here in Austin, and I know rich people that go to them that are like 65, look like they're 30, I mean, I'm just not a medical guy, so I don't do it. That's what they get is vitamin C and all these nutrient bags. It's amazing. Yeah, just shooting it, yeah.
We've known for 50 or 60 years that the less calories we eat, the longer we live. But we have an economy, economic system that runs on food. There's a really cool book called Empires of Food that talks about the history of food, how empires throughout history have been built on consumption of calories. That's why it is up to us, because the empire is not going to tell us this. The empire depends on us eating like it's going out of style. We have to start to participate in some of these strategies, and one of the easiest things we could do is reduce caloric intake. I don't know if you have this article up. Reducing caloric intake delays nerve cell loss.
You know, I don't, because I was given these in big stacks with stack 1, stack 2, right through. Which stack are you talking about?
I'm on stack 4, article 4. Stack 4, Article 4, dementia, big pharma.
You have a document, Cam, guys. Go ahead.
You see where it says that dementia and drug companies, Article 4, eating less may slow down progression of dementia. Now, I just happened to find this article. This came out a couple of days ago. But there are literally dozens of these articles that talk about the power of eating less calories. If you want to make a statement to the New World Order, make it this way. Don't eat so many calories. And how do you restrict yourself from calories with ease? Get yourself on a nutritional supplement program. Get on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Watch what happens to your appetite. As you start to put supplements, as you start to put nutrition into your body, you will naturally wean yourself off of calories, and there is no faster way to improve your longevity, increase your lifespan, improve the symptoms of degenerative disease than to eat less calories. There was another, right after that article, there's another one that came out a couple of days ago about lecithin and eggs. Eggs are one of the most powerful foods a human being can eat. In fact, I'd go so far as to say, as far as whole foods go, there is no whole food more powerful and more benign and non-toxic than the humble, simple, little egg. Yet we're told, to this day we're told, not to eat eggs, not to eat a lot of eggs, not to eat the yolks of eggs. This article came out a couple days ago talking about lecithin in eggs. Lecithin is a high-powered nutritional-like ingredient that's very important for brain health. If you want to protect yourself from Alzheimer's disease, eat eggs, and a lot of them. And by the way, because lecithin is very important for the absorption of fats and fatty vitamins and minerals, if you want to protect your heart, eat eggs. And this gets us to the whole cholesterol idea. You there, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now there's I sent you an article on, I don't think I sent you this one. Do you know there's a new class of cholesterol drugs coming out? They're not satisfied with the statins. Now they're going to have a super statin drug that comes out, a super high.
Well, I've talked to brain surgeons that have seen people on statins. It literally eats your brain.
Because cholesterol is a key cholesterol is the key building substance in the body. It is the key anabolic substance in the body. Alex, you know what makes a vegetable different from a human being or an animal? The fact that we can move. And vegetables don't make cholesterol. Only human beings and animals make cholesterol, because cholesterol is a vital compound for producing muscle, for producing movement, for producing action, for producing neural activity. Cholesterol is your biochemical of youth and growth.
This sounds like the ravings of a fascist.
Just look at any biochemistry.
No, you're
book.
evil. I mean, I don't want to hear scientific facts. It's extreme. There's no way the government and the media would not tell me this. They care about me.
Right. Your doctor cares.
And plus, you're on a guy's show that Rachel Maddow says that we say alien wasp run the planet. So, of course, it's not true, but she's on mainstream television. It must be. Sometimes I think giant wasp maybe run Rachel Maddow. All right, folks, it's a joke if you just tuned in. Rachel Maddow says that I say that aliens run the UN from an underground base.
Fortunately, you've grown up hearing voices that incessantly warn of government as nothing more than some separate, sinister entity that's at the root of all our problems. Some of these same voices also do their best to gum up the works. They'll warn that tyranny is always lurking just around the corner. You should reject these voices, because what they suggest is that our brave and creative and unique experiment in self-rule is somehow just a sham with which we can't be trusted.
All right, there you go. We can't be trusted. He equates the people with the government. He says it's your government. That's what tyrants always say. They say that in North Korea. We watch government throughout history and in modern times doing horrible things everywhere. Always the most dangerous force. Always what special interests use to enslave. Always to destroy human liberty. Always to take health choices away. Always to dominate. Humans either ascend by what they do and what they produce, and then you have incredible civilizations where science and literature and beauty and honorableness is exalted and the societies just excel. Then their kids become decadent, their kids become evil, and the cycle goes back into bondage. And we're going into that right now. But look, I've seen my family and friends do the InfoWarsHealth.com routine with the longevity products with incredible results. I've only stuck my toe in because everything I've never done. I do about 20% of what I should, and it has revolutionized my brain, my skin health. I lost like 40 pounds, then quit doing a lot of it, going back on it, losing weight again. It's not even designed for weight loss. But as a gardener, I know this. You have to plant rose bushes in a certain type of soil. They have genetics, just like humans. You have to plant them in the right soil, and then they have to have the right nutrients, the right natural fertilizer, or they'll die. And a doctor, I guess a botanist, a doctor of plants could say, the roses are dying because they've mutated and they're molting and they are not producing flowers and dying because they have bad genetics. No, if the rose bush doesn't get the nitrogen and the things it needs, the 3 or 4 things it needs, the sunlight, the water, the nitrogen, it's not going to grow. And then it's going to become diseased as it just tries to keep its roots alive, and then it's going to die. And that's what's happening with humans. And instead they go, oh, you're dying because of your genetics. Yes, you're dying because your genetics are predisposed, bathed in a radiation chamber, eating GMO with its own pesticide in it. The same thing happening. Why do they do tests on rats and pigs? Because rats and pigs genetically, with drugs, respond the same as humans. They don't do it on dogs. They don't do it on whales. They don't know it. Pigs operate more like us than even a chimpanzee in many studies. So they do it on pigs. If you take, the hormone, a lot of people do thyroid. It's from a pig a lot of times. And folks, they put pigs on this stuff and it kills them. They know exactly what they're doing. Ben Fuchs, we're going to break here. I'm going to keep you a little bit in the next hour, but they know what they're doing, don't they?
I'm not a genius. I just read biochemistry books. All this information, everything I'm talking about is right on the internet. If you look up PubMed or go to scholargoogle.com or pick up Leninger's biochemistry or Guyton's Guyton's pathology, there's all kinds of...
What about my rosebush analogy?
It's exactly the way it is. And you know what else? The rosebush not only will be unhealthy, but the animals that eat the rosebush or that eat the vegetation or that eat the plants, they'll be unhealthy as well. And this is why today, these days, you can't get what you need from eating the 4 food groups. You can't get what you need by simply eating food. It's why you got to get yourself on a nutritional supplement program if you want to maximize this God-given, amazing human body.
I don't believe it. No one should go to InfoWarsHealth.com.
That sounds like the ravings of a fascist.
Yeah, shut up. I apologize for having this extremist on. It's not true. Brain cancer's up. We should all have our brains removed. That will fix the cancer. I love Rachel Maddow.
They were faked as an excuse to take away our guns and enslave us to the giant wasps who hive beneath the UN building or whatever. It's the same guy who says the Boston bombing was also fake. It was faked for political purposes. The same guy who says he doesn't believe the Columbia.
There you go. That's like going, Abraham Lincoln had a beard, which you know is true, and Alex Jones can fly to the moon with pink wings. They just throw something totally ridiculous in, try to discredit it at a mindless, bestial level, and it doesn't work anymore. Look, pharmacist Ben Fuchs, I want to thank you for spending all this time with us today. We've only got about 5 minutes left. Other key points that you wanted to get into today that are important for people to know. I just hope everybody goes to InfoWarsHealth.com and bare minimum gets the Pollen Burst Plus and the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and the Alex Pack that has the Osteo FX and other things. I mean, if they'll just do that, they'll support us, but that's number 2. Number 1, they'll find out we're not playing games here.
And it won't take very long, Alex. That's one of the neat things about nutritional supplementation is the more you need the nutrients, the faster those nutrients get absorbed. And that's why, as you know, when people start this thing, when people start a nutritional supplement program, when people start sipping on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, for example, it takes about 24 hours for you, even less sometimes, for you to notice a difference. And that's because the gift of the human body is the more deficient you are, the faster nutrients get absorbed. The sicker you are, the faster you can turn it around. And
But wait. I mean, so some people genetically are more predisposed to die quicker without water. The answer is, instead of giving somebody water, a nutrient,
take their genes. Hack off part of their body.
No, that's the answer, because it could just be a brain, and they could live on less water. Instead of giving somebody a glass of water, who they need genetically, we just get rid of their brain. I mean, I think that
sounds like the ravings of a fascist.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's what Angelina Jolie did.
Let me tell you something. If anybody tells you that you have to have an organ removed because you have the genetics for cancer, run. Don't walk out of that office. Run out of that office and never return. There is no case when you need to have an appendage or a limb or an organ removed simply because of genetic mandate, because genetics are subject to epigenetics, which means nutrition and which means lifestyle.
Well, I'll tell you what's next. They're already doing this in England. They're saying, well, you're predisposed to cancer, so you can't have children because we're socialist healthcare. We're not going to pay for it. So you have government approval of the sperm and the egg, and they're talking about government approval of the zygote, and basically forced abortion.
Alex, this is why the Founding Fathers put medical freedom into the Constitution. This is why Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Rush warned us about health freedom. They knew, Thomas Jefferson said, if people let the government decide what foods they eat and what medicines they take, their bodies will soon be in as sorry a state as are the souls who live under tyranny. And he said that 250 years ago. And Benjamin Rush and the other founding fathers said the same thing. They knew good and well that it is the job of the government to disempower the people. It is their job. It is the job of the state to take power away from the people.
Hold on.
That sounds like the ravings of a fascist.
Fine. Then I'm a fascist, if that's the case.
I'm being sarcastic. He was talking about me. This is so crazy and so obvious that if you don't give yourself vitamin C, your teeth will fall out of your head. But now people are coming into hospitals with scurvy that eat fast food diets and stuff, and they won't tell them why they're open sores and teeth falling out. It's insane.
Well, this is the whole idea of subclinical nutritional deficiency. Many of us are just walking around and we get sick all the time, or we have asthma, or we just don't feel as well as we should, or we have problems sleeping, and we don't have full-blown out disease states. We just don't feel as good as we have the God-given right to feel, and it's because we're subclinically deficient in these nutrients. Not bad enough to be dying in bed, but bad enough to not be feeling as good as we should.
Well, there you go. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs. He's on every hour, every day right before we start, the hour before. GCNlive.com. Go to InfoWarsHealth.com and become a member today.
Hello, this is Hank Hill, and I'm telling you what, you need to listen to Alex Jones.
Yeah. InfoWars.com.
My judge, what is the secret of the universe?
InfoWars.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now into the third hour. I want to thank you all for joining us. I have the former Minister of Defense from Canada coming on, who's been speaking out about the New World Order and the Bilderberg Group and others. He has some other interesting theories. It's not a theory about the Bilderberg Group setting up world government. Their documents have been stolen, leaked. I've gotten them out of the National Archives that little loving moles have given me, and we put out last year. We're going to be getting into all that at the bottom of the hour. I personally am going to be going to England if they let me into the country. And speaking of the devil, I've had multiple police call me wanting to talk to me from England. One of them, the deputy chief, another, the chief of a constabulary police in the area. So I probably need to get around to calling them. I just always get off the air, and I don't call in the morning. I'm too busy. They're 6 hours ahead. But thousands are kept out. I mean, if you're a Al-Qaeda extremist, you're let in, you're given free welfare, you're taken care of, you can threaten to kill people for 8 years and be allowed to do it. By the way, we are saying that that is a real terror attack that happened yesterday, or now a day and a half ago, but the media is now saying that we said it wasn't real. That's right. Paul Watson put out an article and a video that went viral saying that it was not a staged event. They obviously knew about it, and that's now come out, which is pretty much the same thing. I mean, they bring in people that do this and then take everybody's rights. But obviously, it'll probably be on MSNBC tonight that I said that, you know, it was fake too. I mean, MSNBC now says that I believe giant wasp, alien wasp, live under the UN building. I don't know where they're getting that. I never really cover UFOs, but our next guest actually says there's evidence the government's covering that up. So it's strange she's saying that. And then I've got him on, but he's a prestigious guy. He speaks before the parliament now. He was the deputy prime minister, a bunch of other stuff. So we'll find out. This is something we set up like a month ago. What's going on with that? But I'm sure Matt Al will edit it all up and put it out. And again, the reason that's amazing is they're on record getting White House talking points and following Media Matters. Okay, I've already talked about this ad nauseum. The video of it, it's all up on Infowars.com. Here's some of the news on Infowars.com right now. Rand Paul, Obama embroiled in old McDonald farm of scandals. They're a pig, here a pig, everywhere, pig, pig. I mean, it is just scandals and corruption everywhere. And will you guys punch up my computer screen? I want to show viewers this. So again, here is Infowars.com. Oh, it's not connected. We need to do that every day at the start of the show. Here, I'll do it. I'll connect it so we can run that feed out to everybody. Or it may have disconnected on its own. Is it connected now? Okay, so back to Infowars.com. There you can see Rand Paul, Obama embroiled in old McDonald farm of scandals. DHS memo warns 3D printed guns may be impossible to stop. Oh my gosh, it's so deadly. People may have guns. Criminals are going to have them anyways. But the big criminals don't like that. Gang of 8 says, trust us, this bill will pay for itself. The $6.3 trillion amnesty bill that legalizes criminals. I don't mean just criminals for being here illegally. I mean felons. Maybe they can join the police force. There's some towns actually hiring illegal aliens as police in New Mexico. IRS harassment. Suppressed Tea Party vote. Gee, think that was what it was for? Mike Judge defends Second Amendment and more, an exclusive interview with Alex Jones. That full video that we played the audio of yesterday on the radio is now up for everybody at Infowars.com. And you're like, okay, we all know the guns are good. Well, your friends and family don't. He's got a lot of fans. So it's a really good, it's almost a documentary. In fact, parts of it are. I'm really proud of the interview. Please get it out to everybody you know. Will Lois Lerner be Obama's scapegoat? An important article. Yeah, I think that's the plan. Under Obamacare, health insurance want cash on the barrelhead. How do you like that? And the price is doubling. Eric Schmidt, Google AI indistinguishable from humans within 5 to 10 years. And that means they've already got it, ladies and gentlemen. That's why they're so arrogant. The people will believe what the media tells them to believe. So said George Orwell, a.k.a. Eric Blair. That's just some of the news up on Infowars.com. We'll look and see what Drudge is doing in a little bit. But let me go ahead and just get to this right now. Okay, I meant to read this first hour. I didn't get to it, so let's read it now. Fox News. Roger Ailes' letter to Fox employees. Dear colleagues, the recent news about the FBI's seizure of the phone and email records of Fox employees, including James Rosen, calls into question whether the federal government is meeting its constitutional obligation to preserve and protect a free press in the United States. Well, it's going to soon be a conspiracy that there ever was a free press. I mean, everybody knows there wasn't. All there are re-education facilities, but never mind that. We reject the government's efforts to criminalize the pursuit of investigative journalism and falsely characterize a Fox News reporter to a federal judge as a co-conspirator in espionage. Yeah, and I added that part. A federal judge as a co-conspirator in a crime, but it's actually of espionage. For talking to a State Department official about what's your personal view on Kim Jong-un? Is he crazy enough to really test a nuke? Well, I think so. So they arrested him, and he's now in jail. I mean, this is like saying you can't. I mean, that's why I can't even get generals and colonels on now. They say if they give their opinion about the weather, they'll be arrested. I mean, well, I've gotten so many documents we've put out. I mean, if the government's doing something illegal, you have a right to talk about it. And the government is illegally spying on you so to stop you from that. This is outrageous. I mean, they're disappearing people. He goes on to say, Roger Ailes, I know how concerned you are because of so many of you have asked me, why should the government make me afraid to use a work phone or email account to gain news or gather news or even call a friend or family member? Well, they shouldn't have done it. The administration's attempt to intimidate Fox News and its employees will not succeed, and their excuses will stand neither the test of law, the test of decency, nor the test of time. We will not allow a climate of press intimidation. And I'm telling you, the globalists are really asking for it because there's a lot of corrupt power blocks, but they don't want to be slaves either. You know, they get that basic instinct that, you know, that the gravy train's going to end if they let one power, one ring to rule them all, and in the darkness bind them come into power. We will not allow a climate of press intimidation unseen since McCarthy era. McCarthy was a good guy, folks. I'm going to explain that in a minute. To frighten any of us away from the truth. He was misled, though. I am proud of your tireless efforts to report the news over the last 17 years. I stand with you. I support you, and I thank you for your reporting with courageous optimism. Too many Americans fought and died. Well, this is the right type of talk. Finally, really calling them out. This is the only way to deal with tyrants, folks, is call them on it. Too many Americans fought and died to protect our unique American right of press freedom. We can't and we won't forget that. Be an American journalist is not only a great responsibility, but also a great honor. To be a Fox journalist is a high honor, not a high crime. Even this memo of support will cause some to demonize us and try to find irrelevant things to cause us to waver. Yeah, like saying no one should listen to me and that I'm insane. And I mean, they're scared, folks. We will not waver. See, what's happened is Fox and Glenn Beck and all of them, they wouldn't cover this stuff. But Infowars.com, this show, my films, and then Drudge supercharging us like nitrous oxide at the key junctures with real reports he went and looked up and his crew looked up and found out were accurate. That's why they keep hurting them, because it's true they've got FEMA camps. It's true they're buying billions of bullets. It's true their manuals say they're going to arrest returning veterans and libertarians and conservatives, and that we're the enemy and there's this coming war with us. I mean, these people are the radical, dangerous folks. And you've got to call it what it is to confront it. Yeah, it's over the top. Yeah, it sounds nuts to say what they're doing, but they're the ones doing it. You know, it sounds crazy to say your neighbor's got dead bodies in the back, but if you've seen them and you know they're there, you got to go call the police. I mean, I know why people don't want to believe this, but it's happened. He goes on to say, even this memo of support will cause some to demonize us and try to find irrelevant things to cause us to waver. We will not waver. See, they get distractions. Or Maddow desperately, her body language is freaking out. They're all freaking out right now. As Fox News employees, we sometimes are forced to stand alone. But even then, when we know we are reporting what is true and what is right, we stand proud and fearless. Thank you for your hard work and all your efforts. Sincerely, Roger Ailes. And I know for a fact Roger Ailes has bodyguards, former FBI and a Navy SEAL. I know for a fact Roger Ailes secretly, at least 20 years ago, was an anti-New World Order guy. I've talked to multiple people, a bunch of them that knew him when he was younger. And he is not a communist or a socialist and secretly doesn't like the New World Order. Rupert Murdoch's a different kettle of fish. But still, they're more opportunistic. They're not like really hating America, really hating families, really hating men. They just kind of halfway have gone along. But now, because they brought out Benghazi, and by the way, it was our guest, our research that helped force that out again about the missiles and all of it and the Al-Qaeda. I mean, let me tell you, folks, this country is in a civil war right now between different power structures. And the really nasty globalists that want to shut this country down are in charge at the White House. And they are so freaked out that I've got their number. They are so freaked out that we've hit the zeitgeist that if they're ever going to kill me, it'll be soon. And I don't want that to happen, but I'm committed to this. So just please pray for us. Spread the word. And as bad as Fox News is, and they've done mean stuff to me in the past, they are... I've told everybody this. When they start shutting stuff down, they're going to get rid of anything that even acts like it's libertarian or conservative. Because it could be the ghost, the seed that could grow into something real. You understand that? Even though they've been fake opposition, they will be destroyed unless they wake up. And they are killing FBI agents that were in and around the Boston bombing. And when I first heard this 2 days ago, I went, I want to see that, check their names. And sure enough, the hostage rescue team is the group they used to torch Waco. The hostage rescue team is the key inside group that was at Oklahoma City with the ATF. They are the internal group that does the black ops. Now, I'm not saying these dead guys were involved because it's a large organization now. But in the past, these are the guys that do the deed. And that's what the media kept saying to me. And when Bloomberg's called here a bunch, they're like, you're saying the FBI did it, aren't you? And they keep wanting me to say that. And I go, well, and this was even taped last week. They were taping me, and they've got it on tape. I said it would be the hostage rescue team. That's the group over and over again that we've caught. Two of these guys that were at the Boston bombing and were investigating it died in a training accident. And I got to be honest, I heard this for like a day, and the articles were even out, and I'm like, I don't believe that. Even though I knew they would do something like this, I can't even believe it. And then you've got Tamerlan's friend, who they said they were seeking, and I said like 2 weeks ago, he's dead. And then they even say, because he told friends and family the questioning, so like, just meet with them, they're not going to hurt you. And he reportedly got agitated, so they killed him, but they're not going to tell you details. But the officer... The agent didn't need to go to the doctor. But the most important part, he confessed that he was involved first. I mean, no need to torture you into confessing in a courtroom now or threaten your family. Just you get shot in the head and then you confess. Folks, if I ever get pulled over, because they've got CIA and FBI inside police departments everywhere. I mean, you know, they had that high-level CIA guy down in Houston that Wayne Madsen interviewed, that Wayne Madsen knew, and that Wayne Madsen was going down to interview. But the point is that they get him out of the car. He steps out of the car. The Houston cops draw, shoot him, and it's obviously an execution. And this is how it is now. I mean, you don't just go directly to jail or to a gulag. They drop by and shoot you in the head. And then there's not even an investigation. You can have a helicopter of the guy getting out with his hands. He's not reaching for anything. It was Carnaby. And you just shoot him. Look at this. New York Times. 2 FBI hostage rescue agents died in training exercise at sea. And then we went and looked it up. And sure enough, they were involved investigating the Boston bombing. That can get very unhealthy if you're not a bad person. These guys were pretty young, so I would guess they probably weren't corrupt. Even if you're corrupt, it takes a while to prove yourself. I'd say 10 years. Official, Navy SEALs killed another injured in Arizona training exercise. Yeah, SEAL Team 6 every week, some more of them die. They crammed 20-something of them on a helicopter and then blew it up. And then I talked to a current active duty Navy SEAL who's, I'm not going to say anything else. They can put it in the NSA thing and figure out off clues I give. Because that source hasn't been blown. Because he was smart enough to know where to come find me and tell me. I already said this. They know it's somebody the family knows. And he said, no, they know they blew up the helicopter. Do you know what it's like to actually talk to an active duty Navy SEAL? And he goes, but most of the guys think there's Al-Qaeda moles inside, and that's how they did it. I said, oh, on an old helicopter? Well, that's what they say. We never fly on those, and they never put that many of us on. And they said it was a rescue mission, but it wasn't. It was all just a cover story. Because they were like, how do we get some propaganda out of this? We're going to kill these guys, because they know the Bin Laden raid was fake. You say they were flying to save the Army, pinned down by Al-Qaeda, and then you blow it up. And then it turned out Army wasn't pinned down. It wasn't real. It's like they recycled Pat Tillman in the Army Rangers. He's going public, writing letters. He's going to expose the government drug dealing, how they run Al-Qaeda. Now, that's all known now, but it wasn't supposed to come out, 5, 6 years ago. So Pat Tillman they triple capped him, and then the Army colonel, the coroner, wouldn't lie. And he said, no, they murdered him. But they said he was charging an Al-Qaeda machine gun nest. Just like the Navy SEALs were going to save the Army from Al-Qaeda. There was no battle. There was no nothing. They flew him out to a remote place and then detonated bombs on board. And I've got a whole bunch of them, whole bunch of FBI and Navy SEALs all being killed right now, all being murdered. Groundbreaking, really documentary interview with Mike Judge of King of the Hill, Office Space, Idiocracy, Extract. People are complaining I didn't ask him about Extract. Hey, folks, you go get the interview and remember to do everything. Know what I mean? Now, our next guest has quite a political and military pedigree. Paul Hellyer is one of Canada's best-known and most controversial politicians. And I'm not going to go over his whole bio, but he's been Deputy Prime Minister. He's been the head of the Defense Department there. He's best known for the unification of the Canadian Armed Forces and chairmanship of the Task Force on Housing and Urban Development. And he's maintained a lifelong interest in macroeconomics through the years. As a journalist and political commentator, he has continued to fight for economic reforms and has written several books on the subject. And it's paulhellyerweb.com. In recent years, he's become interested in extraterrestrial presence and their superior technology that we have been emulating. In September 2005, he became the first person of cabinet rank in the G8 group of countries to state unequivocally UFOs are real. We know there's unidentified flying objects. Just what are they? As the airplanes flying overhead. And I don't get into UFO stuff because most of it's just black project, secret stuff. And the media, you already heard Rachel Maddow come out and say that I say giant wasp are under the UN building. I don't cover UFOs. So it's funny she said that a few nights ago, and now I've got somebody that gets into that. And we're going to play a clip of him in one of these hearings, and he speaks before Parliament, you name it, getting into the Bilderberg Group and global governance. That's not a theory. That's real. So he comes off very credible, and he's respected all over the world, and he's one of the most respected people in the whole Disclosure Project. So we're going to get his take on that here in just a moment. But here is a clip of him talking to a panel that I believe was televised on their C-SPAN. Here it is.
Who are these vested interests, and what are they up to? Well, Senator, you were talking about a military junta. In my opinion, that is true, but I have broadened and deepened the definition to cabal, and the cabal comprises members of the Three Sisters, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderbergers, and the Trilateral Commission, the International Banking Cartel, the Oil Cartel, members of various intelligence organizations, and select members of the military junta, who together have become a shadow government of not only the United States, but of much of the Western world.
All right, and joining us is Paul Hellyer. Then I'll have some big breaking news that just went up on Infowars.com. Adam Kokesh calls for New American Revolution. I am, and he's talking about, well, I'm going to get to that in a moment. I'm calling for a restoration of the Republic. Mr. Hellyer, good to have you on with us. We appreciate your courage, saying what you believe. Is formerly heading up the Department of Defense in your country. When you start, talking about this stuff, people pay attention. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Tell us about your process of awakening and specifically what research you've come to, because I agree, Trilateral Commission, CFR, Bilderberg, all the heads of that are all the same heads of the other organizations. So people ask, well, which group is it? Well, they're all just different management teams, as you know. So give us your view on the world power structure and where they want to take us. We know it's real, but who are they and where do they want to take us?
Well, I think the Three Sisters are all sort of joined together at the hip like Siamese children. And where they're trying to take us, and this has been set out in writing by the Council on Foreign Relations as far back as World War II. They're headed in the direction of a world government ineffectively run by them. They don't believe in democracy as we have seen it over the years of by, and for the people. They believe that there is a better way, and the better way is to have the elite of the world, and especially bankers, running it. The problem is that they are already doing that to a very great extent and running it for their own benefit, and to the exclusion of the benefit of ordinary people who do most of the work and create most of the wealth. So it's a direction which I think has been going on for probably 40 or 50 years, very successfully. It involves much of globalization. The purpose of globalization was to enable them to extend their reach into every country, that they would have the ability to cherry pick the assets and industries of other countries, to establish branch plants there of their banks, and to get involved in the money creation function in those countries. And all of this leading to the end of a world autocracy. And I think this is absolutely, totally wrong. And I'm doing everything I can to say, whoa, let's get off the train before it's too late. And I just hope it isn't too late now, because we're going to have to act very fast.
Now, as the head of the Canadian military at one time, you were obviously led into NATO councils, the highest levels of global national security, which they use to breed all this under. But now everything you just said so eloquently is exactly what they're doing. And then that's what freaks me out when you say they've got a bunch of advanced technology they're hiding. Where is all this stuff coming from? And then I read Eric Schmidt, Google says AI indistinguishable from humans within 5 to 10 years. And then I read their public writings saying, as soon as we merge with the AI, you'll be like bugs, whether it's Ray Kurzweil or him. They all talk about the end of humanity. Bill Joy went to a conference in '99. He wrote about it in 2000, Why the Future Doesn't Need Us. He was worth $4 billion at the time, even more now. Co-owner of Sun Microsystems, involved with Apple, you name it. He said, no, I went to a conference, and we all discussed, do we kill everybody when we merge with machines and don't need them anymore and become gods, basically? Whether that's real or not, that's what they're saying publicly in Wired Magazine. Or do we just let them, like children, continue on eating resources? Well, you can argue humans are hurting the earth, but they're just coldly talking about writing everyone off. And then I see this program. So what is the end game? Because what you said is absolutely correct. They believe, whether they're going to attain this advanced life extension or not, they may have already done it, because we know they've stratified technological development into their centralized national security reservations. I mean, how bad is it? I mean, obviously, sir, you know a lot of classified stuff. I mean, you were the head of the Canadian, military. I've had Andres von Bülow, former German defense minister, head of the German military on. And, he says the CIA staged 9/11 with the Muslim patsies. And he wrote the book, The CIA Staged 9/11. I mean, you get the former German defense minister on, and he sounds just like me. And you come on, you sound just like, I mean, what is it, sir? I'm kind of ranting here. How much trouble are we in? And were you led into this when you were in the Canadian government?
The answer to the second question is definitely no. Everything that I know now, roughly, I have learned in the last 8 years, with the exception of the direction being taken generally by the Three Sisters and their patsies. And I have written about that in several books, including my latest one, which is The Light at the End of the Tunnel, a survival plan for the human species.
Ooh, I want to read that. I didn't even know you had that book. Where do people get that, sir?
They can get it from my website, which you said was paulheatherweb.com.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, and there's a lot of video up there. So getting at this, from my research, though, the Three Sisters are the open government management team, but the shadow government behind the first level of shadow government, Northcom, that's already absorbed much of Canada. I want your take on that. U.S. troops at the Olympics patrolling the streets up there. What is, from your research, the goal of the shadow government, or do you disagree with the statement I just made?
Well, I don't really know, because they haven't let me in on their secrets, but as I said, the goal, as far as I can see, is a world government dominated by them. Now, one of the things they have been doing in the last few years is some genetic experiments. And I think that's pretty well known, and I don't know how well documented it is.
No, there's thousands of companies creating human chimeras spliced with different plants and animals, but they terminate them reportedly before birth.
Well, this is probably true in most cases, but they're spending a lot of money on things like that I think is just going in exactly the wrong direction.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. Yeah, exactly.
What they should be doing is trying to build a better world for the people who live in it. And one of the things that the extraterrestrials could do for them, and have said, and I quote some of this in my book too, when I quote some passages from Jim Sparks' book, which he allowed me to do, was they're way ahead of us in medicine, for example, and we could use some improved medicine at much lower prices without having fixed prices and that sort of thing. They're ahead of us in agriculture. They're ahead of us in technology, and that they could help us clean up the air and the water and save our planet, which is probably one of the most beautiful planets that there is in a long, long way.
Well, Paul Hellyer, again, you're the former Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, former head defense minister. You're a very respected guy, and you're here because, again, I know the Bilderberg Group's real. Now, I know that they're going to put it on national TV that I said that there are human-animal chimeras. That's BBC, AP, Reuters. But they know the general public reads it and doesn't even get that human clones are illegal, but if they make you 1% lizard or 1% fish, then they claim it's not a human and has no rights. Guys, type in human-animal clones made in laboratory. Show people mainstream news, just so it's on record when Rachel Maddow twists this. So that's already so far out that then I'm like, okay, maybe there is something going on.
There's certainly something going on, and if the American people were aware of it, they would be, in many of them at least, very unhappy about it.
Well, here's the Daily Mail. 150 human-animal hybrids grown in UK labs. Embryos have been produced secretly over the past 3 years. Well, it's really 30 years. But so let me say this to you, sir. What I'm saying to you is, what is your proof of extraterrestrials? Did you see this in government? What is your proof?
The proof that they exist?
Yes.
Well, for one thing, the 5 days of testimony in Washington at the Citizens Disclosure from people, many of whom I've known and listened to before, who have actually worked in some of the black ops, who have seen extraterrestrials personally, and just a range of evidence which is so overwhelming that when we appeared there a couple of weeks ago, we started out with these 5 ex-congressmen and 1 ex-senator, congresspeople or persons, and they were all skeptics, and 2 or 3 of them very vociferous skeptics. And by the time we finished on Friday night at 6 o'clock, they had all changed over completely. It began earlier in the week,
sure,
but bought in, but there was one holdout until the last day. And
well, I'll tell you what's most compelling. They have like 12 of the astronauts, Apollo and others. The recordings are real NASA recordings. NASA admits they're real, but then the media discredits anybody falsely that talks about it, where they did say they were shadowed by other craft. And now you could say it was the Russians or something, but I doubt that. And I've seen the NASA footage of them shooting particle beams at stuff that's doing turns so fast that, obviously there's a lot of suppressed technology. But what I've been told by high-level NASA people is that it's really advanced government technology. But I guess you're saying that they were given that.
They've been given a lot of information, yes. They've been back engineering this technology for 60 years with hundreds of the best scientists in the United States, I guess, and spending how much of the taxpayers' dollars will probably never really be known. But I was at a conference, I guess it was 6 years ago, where an estimate was made that they had spent over $2 trillion as of then.
Yeah.
And that they had basically, I think what they've achieved in 60 years is mind-boggling, so much so that I can understand in a way why they don't want people to know what they've accomplished.
Yeah, how much? Well, yeah, they want to keep it for themselves, regardless if it's off-world or not. How the word I've got is that the military-industrial complex is probably 30 to 40 years ahead of what we publicly see.
About what people know?
Yes, that the military-industrial complex has technology 30 to 40 years advanced of what we know.
Oh, yeah, more than that by far. Hundreds of years advanced in some areas. And this has happened very rapidly in the last 60 years. And we knew about that in Canada because one of our scientists was involved in the very early stages in 1950. And he was told by Dr. Robert Sarbucker that UFOs were real, that the method of propulsion was at that time unknown. That's no longer true, I think. And that the whole area was classified more highly than the H-bomb, and that the United States government took it extremely seriously, and that a group of scientists under Dr. Vannevar Bush had already begun to see if they could find out the means of propulsion and back engineer the technology that involved.
Is your intelligence that they're working with these things?
Pardon me?
Well, here's the deal. If they've 16 years ago, the BBC reported that a decade plus before, they'd made human-animal clones, but it was legal because they weren't human. Now it's all over the news today, and I'm still called a kook for that. So I know there's a lot of wild stuff going on.
But who says that they're not subject to the laws of the world, the laws of...
no, I agree. I think it's, I mean, my goodness, you can't have animal cruelty, but you can have a human that's cruelly mixed with something. It's hellish. They got, 20 years ago, they had rhesus monkeys spliced with jellyfish. I got it. It's out of control. I'm saying, I get there's wild stuff, but I can prove they've created humanoid clones, which are pretty much not of this world. When I'm asking you, that's an alien to me, and that's alien to the natural order. Okay, so I'm not, it's a big universe. I've just never seen absolute proof that there's little green men visiting this planet, and I'm saying you've got people that you say have the proof. I know there's the Bilderberg. Well, yeah, I'm going to shut up when we come back. I'm going to ask you, the bottom of the rabbit hole, what you know and where you think this is going. Stay with us. Look, here's what I know. There have been leaked documents over the years of Project Bluebeam, and they could basically, with animatronics or holograms, high-tech stuff, and they've talked about this, have fake UFO landings. There's been so many hoaxes. I'm worried about them doing some type of alien invasion deal to unify the planet. The only documents I've got from government are on that front. And I don't think you're a bad guy, sir, and I appreciate you coming on, and I want to read your book. I'm going to get a copy, paulhellierweb.com. But I guess Light at the End of the Tunnel, you say, is the name of it. But I want to ask you, I mean, have you not been approached about that this whole disclosure project thing could be a giant disinformation campaign?
No, absolutely not. The disclosure project is perfectly legitimate by some of the most respectable people I know. There's probably the odd infiltrator from time to time who is part of the disinformation process, which has been going on, because you can't keep this sort of thing secret for 60 years if you don't have people out providing misinformation and disinformation. And on that score, I think you sort of led credence to some of their propaganda when you referred to little green men. In my book, which I said was Light at the End of the Tunnel, A Survival Plan for the Human Species, I list several species, and the only one that could be identified, well, there are two that can be identified by color. One is the grays, so-called, which are the ones that apparently one of the ones that the U.S. government has been working with, and the orange. But there are also tall whites, and there are Nordics that look so much like us that they can walk down the street without being identified. And if you want to...
And are the grays like a biomechanical android of another species?
Well, some of them may be, but they're different kinds of grays, and you'd have to know more about it than either one of us.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, Paul, where's the proof of all this? And, I make the little green man joke because I don't really believe all this stuff, and they say I do on television.
Well, I'm going to give you a person to phone who has lived with and the tall whites on a gunnery range in Nevada, where they live with the United States Air Force on United States Air Force, U.S. government soil. And his name is Charles Hall. He's written a series of books called Millennial Hospitality, which you can get through the internet. Or you can, I'm sure, if you want to, get his...
No, I know, but I mean, I know about all this stuff, and there's never proof, man. I can't get people to admit they're splicing humans and animals when it's in AP, Reuters. Guys come up at pizza places and shove me in the back and say I'm a liar about stuff that's admitted. So, you know, all I know is that I'm not like Rachel Maddow, who believes there's a big wasp under... I'm joking. That's what she said about me. Look, you say a lot of credible stuff about the Bilderberg Group, all of it. But people are going to say that you're mixing all this together because they always say, oh, you believe in a new world order? You believe in space aliens. Yeah, so they, you know, it goes both ways. I don't have you on here to discredit you. I've got an open mind is what I'm saying, but I just have never seen the beef, the proof. Show me the money. I mean, where is the proof of these aliens?
Well, what I'm saying is if you took, if you had read all of the books I have and talked to all of the witnesses who are credible, in my opinion, and I've checked them all out. Anybody that I quote in my book or mention online on radio shows, I have checked them out for authenticity. If you spent the time that I have researching those things, you could not come to any other conclusion. But
let me add, do you believe that carbon dioxide is causing global warming?
Yes.
But would a carbon tax fix that?
No. So,
Paul, I'm going to get you back on sometime. Thank you so much for the time, and I will read your book. Folks, our website's Infowars.com. I'm going into overdrive with big breaking news straight ahead. Infowars.com/show to find the free video feed right now. I'm going into overdrive with Adam Kokesh, saying that it may be time. Well, I'm going to cover it then. All right, my friends, thank you for joining us. I want to make a statement now. I want to make a statement right now on the entire Adam Kokesh saga. I've only met Adam Kokesh once. I have watched and read his work for the last 4 or 5 years. I do not think that he is a bad person, but I think that he has basically not been wise in some of the things that he's been doing. And I think there's too many opportunities by the establishment to really set the liberty movement up at a time that we're gaining so much headway that I have to say that when he announced he was going to have a peaceful armed march on D.C. as civil disobedience to point out that the Supreme Court had overthrown D.C. versus Heller 5 years ago, and that it's legal to carry firearms there, but they still have an unconstitutional law in place. I saw the perspective of it being like black people saying, I'm going to sit at the lunch counter, even if you say no blacks allowed, or I'm going to sit at the front of the bus. And then if they arrested them, create a court case showing that it was unlawful arrest. The problem is they're not going to play fair. They're going to set people up. The standard deal is to put Molotov cocktails in your car or a pipe bomb and send you to jail. People trying to peacefully protest at RNC and DNC have that done to them. I've been covering a military drill in Florida in a neighborhood and had a special forces guy start a fire and try to blame it on me. That I had to stomp out and then physically stop the guy. Mike Hansen's, my camera guy, is a witness of that. Okay, I mean, these people do not play games. And if you start saying, well, this is a armed revolt, and using legalese of we're armed, it's our right, we're not going to shoot if they don't shoot first, that's when I start really saying, hey, maybe nobody should go to this. Because I was saying go unarmed to videotape it as an observer to be able to hopefully stop what he's doing not being used by the enemy. Because I respect the courage, but I don't respect the way it's being handled. And now Adam Kokesh, they had a press conference today when they released one of the people that had been at the rally. Adam Kokesh is still being held. And after trying to put attention on this, we were basically told, oh, well, maybe we'll get to you later. Which, again, just shows the disconnect, as if having mainstream media coverage even matters. They're only going to spin and twist everything you do. All that matters is long-form discussions. And I think that more and more they're irritated by the fact that I have said, I don't think this is a good idea. Now, that said, here is the breaking news, and I'm going to do a focus statement on this later. This just came out about 10 minutes ago. Adam Kokesh is now talking about how people should march on all 50 capitals and all 50 governors. He says we may have passed the point at which nonviolent revolution becomes impossible. This was released by his people. So we're taking it as if it's true. And this is not the time to offensively go out and look for a provocation. If the globalists come to take our guns, you'll see it start happening around the country. There'll be a Lexington, there'll be a Concord. And my God, I don't want to go there either. But if they start it, that's the way it is. But I'm not here to watch Adam Kokesh I'm for decriminalization because I know the globalists use it as a tool of control. I am for decriminalization because I understand the fraud of the system. But it doesn't mean I'm for everybody being stoned out of their gourds. Just, George Washington wasn't at things lighting up weed, getting stoned and all this stuff. It's just the whole thing is out of control. And now there's talk of maybe we need to get violent. I don't support the march. I don't support any of this stuff. The minute I start, and I know he's locked up mad in a cage. And I don't think he's an agent provocateur, but he calls himself a liberty provocateur. I don't like the smell or any of this. And I agree with Lou Rockwell. From day one, I've had problems. I've tried to say I admire courage, but hey, we need to make sure there's coverage of this so they don't spin it. But now it's just gone too far. And again, I think Adam's crew are good guys. But I'll have more of a statement on this on the Nightly News tonight.